the interesting thing about Matt Damon's character, which is Sonny Vaccaro, about which is at the very end of the film. It tells like in a little kind of like where they are now kind of thing about how he or his character championed the entire aspect of players being paid in college for whatever brand that they're wearing as a sponsorship thing, because I guess back then that didn't exist yet, which is really interesting just as a thing by itself, where again college players would be wearing all these brands back then and they weren't being paid for it, although they were on that kind of bigger national scale. So that's one of the more interesting things about it to me as far as like the story goes. But it really just overall as a movie just tells a great story about how companies that back then were really small, because back then when this movie takes place, Adidas and Converse are huge. They're the seemingly primary shoemakers of basketball equipment and basketball gear back in the day, which is funny now because it's not really like that anymore. Like, I think if I'm not wrong, Nike owns Converse now, and they bought them out later on, and it does explain that a little bit later at the end of the movie. But it's just kind of crazy to me how Adidas, like I didn't know that Adidas was a basketball company at all back then, and how they were such a big player, and how just all the drama that was occurring from just for a sport of this guy that they're trying to recruit. And it was interesting because it was cool too because in one of the meetings between Phil Knight and Sonny Vaccaro, again, which is Ben